Jennifer slid the ring box across the table like she was returning a borrowed charger. "I think we rushed into this," she said, calm, final, like it was a business deal, not a 3-year relationship. The clink of metal inside the velvet box was louder than her voice. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. I'd memorized every facet of that ring, the way it shimmered under restaurant lights, the way she used to twist it slowly when she was nervous, the way I saved for 8 months to afford it. "It's okay," I said. She blinked. "That's it?" I nodded. She waited, maybe for me to beg, maybe to tell her she was making a mistake. I just reached into my pocket, pulled out the apartment key, and placed it beside the ring. 2 quiet rejections between us on the table. Jennifer left without another word. The next day, her best friend Nancy posted a photo on Instagram, a close-up, of her hand wearing the same ring. My ring. The caption? "He gave her a maybe. I got a forever." For the first time in weeks, I actually felt something, but it wasn't heartbreak. It was clarity. Within minutes, Jennifer was blowing up my phone. "Terrence, she wasn't supposed to post that. She just tried it on for fun. I didn't give it to her. I didn't know she was going to say yes. I never asked the question again, Jennifer. But it's funny. You answered anyway. That evening, she was on my doorstep, the same ring now in her fist instead of on someone's finger. "Please," she said. "Don't let her win." She didn't say she missed me. She didn't say she loved me. Just those 5 words. I didn't move from the doorway. She held out the ring like she was offering a peace treaty. Behind her, in the dark of the street, I saw Nancy watching from her car window, eyes narrow and unblinking. And in that moment, I finally understood what this had all been. Not love, not confusion, just a game, and I was the prize. Jennifer and I met at a winter networking event hosted by a marketing firm neither of us worked for. I was only there because my college friend had begged me to come last minute. Jennifer was there because she said she liked the catering. We were seated at opposite ends of a long rectangular table, and the first thing she ever said to me was, "Can you believe how overpriced the wine is for something that tastes like regret?" It made me laugh, not because it was that funny, but because she said it so seriously, like she wasn't even trying to be charming. We got drinks after the event. She ordered something I couldn't pronounce and didn't finish it. I remember watching her talk to the bartender like they were old friends. She didn't flirt. She didn't exaggerate. She just talked, soft, articulate, confident. I liked that about her. We started dating quietly. No big announcements, no endless Instagram stories. Just moments, morning coffee runs, weekends where we didn't check our phones, late-night drives with no destination. There was an easiness between us I hadn't experienced before. She was the kind of woman who could walk into a room and never raise her voice but still somehow control the entire space. After a year, she moved into my apartment. At first, I thought we were just taking a next step. But sometimes it felt like she moved in more out of convenience than love. She never said that, of course. She smiled when I cooked for her. She hugged me from behind while I worked. But I started to notice things. She never liked talking about the future unless she was talking about her career. She avoided conversations about kids. She made comments like, "You're the stable one," or "You're the safe choice," and I wasn't sure whether that was a compliment or a consolation prize. When I proposed, she said yes within seconds. No tears, no disbelief. Just a smooth, "Of course." I convinced myself it was because she'd already made the decision, that she was just certain. But her smile that night didn't reach her eyes. And when we told Nancy, the way Jennifer looked at her felt like she was waiting for a reaction, not sharing a moment. Nancy hugged her, said all the right things, but she wasn't surprised, almost like she knew this was temporary. I tried not to let that feeling grow, but it lingered. Every time Nancy dropped by unannounced, every time Jennifer's phone lit up and she'd turn the screen away from me, every time I came home and found them whispering together on the balcony, Still, I didn't ask questions. I thought trusting someone meant giving them room. I didn't want to be the jealous type, the paranoid man who monitored his fiancée's texts or second-guessed her laughter. I wanted to be better than that. I wanted to believe in us. Then came the night she handed me the ring. No argument led up to it. No explosion. Just silence over dinner and then her sliding the box across the table like a transaction. "I think we rushed into this," she said. I looked at her, waiting for more, but that was it. So I nodded, gave her back the key, and let her go. I should have known Nancy was involved. They'd always shared some unspoken connection, like a secret language I was never fluent in. It didn't feel threatening at first, just strange. But now I wonder if all those late-night talks were rehearsals. If every moment I thought Jennifer was uncertain, it was because she was measuring her choice against someone else's attention. The ring appearing on Nancy's hand wasn't a surprise. It was the final confirmation. Jennifer showed up within hours of the post going viral. She wore the same black coat from our second date. Her hair was curled the way I always said I liked. She smiled in that practiced, apologetic way. And when she said, "Please don't let her win," it felt like I'd been replaced by a trophy neither of them wanted to lose to the other. She didn't ask for me back. She didn't apologize for breaking the engagement. She didn't talk about love. She talked about winning, and I realized then I was never the center of this. I was a placeholder, an accessory, a way to feel desired when her own insecurities crept in. Maybe she liked the way I looked at her. Maybe she liked knowing she had me, but she never once asked what I needed, what I hoped for, what I feared. She never asked if I was happy, and I wasn't. She tried to hand me the ring again, said we could forget everything, said we could start fresh. But I saw Nancy in the shadows behind her, standing by the car, arms crossed, smirking like she knew exactly what would happen. And for the first time in our relationship, I didn't hesitate. I stepped back and closed the door. Let them figure out who won what. 3 days passed without another word from Jennifer. No texts, no late-night calls, nothing on her social media either. She'd gone quiet, and so had Nancy. I didn't expect either of them to stay silent for long. By the end of the week, the silence shattered, loud and public. Nancy announced her engagement. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't accidental. It was a staged photo shoot with designer lighting, a luxury resort in the background, and the caption, "He proposed with the ring she gave away. I said yes for both of us." The comments exploded, hundreds of them. Jennifer was tagged repeatedly. People speculated, whispered, mocked. Some asked if the man was me. Some were too polite to ask but implied it anyway. The photo wasn't the part that made my chest tighten. It was the look in Nancy's eyes. Not love, not joy, just triumph. Jennifer didn't call me. She called my sister. Erica showed up at my place that night with a confused look and a half-empty bottle of wine. "She's a mess," Erica said as soon as I opened the door. "I don't know what you did, but she's losing it. I didn't do anything." That's what she said. And that's what scares me. We sat on the balcony while she poured 2 glasses. Erica had always liked Jennifer. She was the one who helped me pick out the ring. But tonight, she looked like someone trying to unbelieve in a person she once defended. "She keeps saying Nancy stole something," Erica said. "Not just you. Her words were everything I built." "She gave it away," I said. Erica stared at me. "She said, you didn't fight for her." I laughed under my breath. "So now it's my fault she handed my ring to her best friend?" "She's not making sense," she admitted. "She kept asking if you loved her or just loved being the better option." "I don't know anymore," I said. Maybe I did. Fall in love with the version of her I created in my head. Erica looked down at her glass. "And Nancy?" "I don't love Nancy, but she loves the idea of beating Jennifer." Neither of us spoke for a while. The night air was sharp and my thoughts were scattered. Something about all of it felt off. It wasn't just betrayal. It wasn't just jealousy. It was like they were locked in some kind of private war, and I had been drafted into it without consent. The next morning, Jennifer was waiting outside my office building. She wasn't wearing makeup. No designer coat, no carefully styled hair. She looked like someone who hadn't slept. "Can we talk?" she asked. I didn't answer, just led her to the bench near the side entrance. She sat beside me, silent at first. "I didn't know she was going to post that," she said finally. "I didn't know she was going to say yes." "You didn't know she was going to say yes to the ring you left behind?" Her voice cracked. "I didn't think she'd do it. I thought she was just being petty, trying to get under my skin." "And did she?" Jennifer turned to me, eyes red. "Terrence, she's always done this. She copies me. She watches everything I do. She's done it since college." I said nothing. She never had what I had. Not the internships, not the jobs, not the attention. And then I got engaged to the only man who's ever made me feel like I wasn't disposable, and suddenly she wants that too? Her words didn't move me. They should have, maybe, but they didn't. So why give it back? Jennifer looked away. I panicked. I thought I was losing myself. I felt trapped, like I wasn't living the life I planned. And now, I realized the life I planned didn't mean anything if you weren't in it. There it was, the speech, the redemption arc, the sudden realization of love and regret. I didn't know if it was genuine or just another move in a long-running game with Nancy. "Why now?" I asked. "Because she won't stop. She'll do anything to ruin what I had with you." "Maybe she didn't ruin it," I said. "Maybe you just gave her the pieces." Jennifer blinked slowly. Her lip quivered, but she held back the tears. "She's not even in love with you. She just wants to take me down." "And you let her." Her jaw tightened. "I made a mistake. But I didn't sleep with her fiancé. I didn't steal her job. I didn't fake a pregnancy like she once did to keep a man from leaving her. That caught me off guard." "She did that?" I asked. Jennifer nodded. "I was there when she cried over the test being negative." Suddenly, everything felt heavier. This wasn't about love. It never was. This was a rivalry wrapped in pearls and perfume, buried under smiles and brunches, and I was the sharpest weapon in both of their hands. I stood up. "Terrence," she said, rising quickly, "please. I'm not asking for a second chance because I deserve it. I'm asking because I still believe in us." I looked at her, then at my reflection in the glass doors behind her. My face was calm, detached. "I don't know if I do anymore," I said. Her hand dropped from my sleeve. I turned away, and for the first time since she gave that ring back, she didn't follow. I kept waiting to feel something. Anger, longing, sadness, even regret would have been welcome, but what came instead was numbness, the kind that sat in my chest like cement, heavy, quiet, immovable. I wasn't heartbroken the way people expected. I didn't lie awake all night wishing things were different. I didn't stare at old photos or scroll through our memories. What haunted me was the silence in between, the moments where I used to check my phone without realizing it, expecting her name to be there. And when it wasn't, I didn't feel disappointed. I felt nothing at all. Jennifer had always been loud without raising her voice. She could make a room turn without lifting a finger. She could make people believe she was the most important thing they'd ever known, and for a while, I believed it too. But now I saw the machinery behind it, the cracks in her armor, the way she ran from discomfort and disguised it as independence. The way she confused chaos for passion. And me? I was the safe place she came back to when the storm she created got too loud. Nancy didn't reach out after the engagement post. Not once. That silence felt different, intentional, strategic. Like she was waiting. Not for me to respond, but for Jennifer to break. She didn't have to wait long. 2 days after our bench conversation, Jennifer showed up at my office again. This time she was crying before she even spoke. "She's planning a wedding, Terrence," she choked out. "She set a date. She booked a venue, with your ring." I didn't respond. I know it shouldn't matter. I gave it back. I walked away. I know I did this. But it's not just about the ring anymore. Then what is it? I asked. She's marrying the idea of being me. She's wearing my future like it's hers. I stayed silent, not because I didn't understand, but because I did. Too well. She looked at me like I was the last thread keeping her from unraveling, and for the first time I felt the weight of how much damage love can do when it's handled carelessly. She told me she's naming her first daughter after me, Jennifer whispered. It didn't shock me. It just made something inside me recoil. She said I should be flattered. She's not marrying me, I said. Jennifer paused. What? I leaned forward. She's not marrying me, Jennifer. She's marrying someone else. Her mouth fell slightly open. She found someone who looked the part, someone with a little money, decent face, no backbone. I don't even know the guy's name, but I saw them together. Jennifer looked like she couldn't breathe. I thought, she started, then stopped. I thought she wanted you. She didn't want me, I said. She wanted to beat you, and I just happened to be the scoreboard. Jennifer sat back, stunned. The tears dried up. What replaced them was something harder, more hollow. I thought if I came back, we could fix it. You didn't come back because you missed me, I said. You came back because you couldn't stand the idea of someone else winning. Her eyes dropped to her lap. Maybe. I don't know anymore. Do you love me, Jennifer? She looked up. I did. But not now? I think I loved who I thought you were supposed to be, she whispered. Someone who could save me from myself. I nodded. And when I couldn't, you gave up. No, she said softly. I ran. Neither of us spoke for a long time. I wanted to tell her that I'd loved her honestly, that I'd believed in her, that I'd chosen her not because she was perfect, but because I saw the fight in her, the need to be seen, understood, accepted. And I thought I could be the one to give her that. But love doesn't survive on hopes alone. It needs honesty. It needs both people fighting, not just one. I didn't lose you to Nancy, she said finally. I lost you to the version of myself that couldn't stop looking sideways. I stood. She didn't follow me this time. I walked out of the lobby and onto the street, where the air felt colder than it had all week. The sun was setting fast, bleeding pink and orange into the glass windows of nearby buildings. For a moment, I just stood there, watching traffic pass, watching strangers live, lives that had nothing to do with mine. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a message from someone I hadn't heard from in a long time. Nancy. I didn't think she'd tell you. No greeting, no smile, just that. I stared at the screen for a while, then slowly typed back, Did you ever want me? There was a long pause. Then, only when she didn't. I locked the screen. My reflection stared back at me from the dark glass of the storefront beside me. I didn't look angry. I didn't look broken. I looked free. And for the first time in a long time, that was enough. 2 weeks passed. Not a word from Jennifer, not a second message from Nancy. I thought it was over. I hoped it was. Then I got the wedding invitation. It didn't come in the mail. It wasn't posted online. It was hand-delivered to my office by a courier in a crisp uniform who said, Personal delivery, signature required. I opened the envelope. Mr. and Mrs. Robert Kensington request the honor of your presence. My eyes froze. Robert Kensington. I knew that name. He wasn't just some random finance guy. He wasn't someone Nancy found to fill space. He was Jennifer's ex, the one she never talked about, the one she claimed had left her for someone safer. And now he was marrying Nancy, wearing my engagement ring, hosting a ceremony at the same venue Jennifer once circled in a bridal magazine beside me, back when she still believed we were planning something together. I dropped the invitation into the trash, but my chest burned with something I hadn't felt in weeks, not jealousy, betrayal. Again, but differently, Not toward Jennifer. Toward Nancy. Later that night, I found myself scrolling through Nancy's engagement photos. Her smile was bigger now. Not softer, just wider, sharper. Robert stood beside her, stiff and polished like a mannequin. But what caught me was the background, the decor, the florals, the entire aesthetic. It was Jennifer's dream wedding. Her colors, her table settings, her venue, her everything. Nancy hadn't just taken the ring, she'd taken Jennifer's old life blueprint and filled in her name. At midnight, I got a call from Jennifer. She didn't say hello. She didn't cry. She just said, "You got the invitation?" I did. "Do you know who he is?" I know. I wasn't supposed to see them together, but I did. Yesterday. I stayed silent. "He's using her," she said. "He knows exactly what he's doing. And she's letting him." Jennifer let out a bitter laugh. "She thinks she's winning, but she doesn't know he's worse than I ever was." I didn't say anything. "I thought she just wanted to beat me," Jennifer continued. "But now I think she wants to erase me. One move at a time." I closed my eyes. "So stop watching." "I can't. That wedding, it was supposed to be mine. But it's not. And maybe that's the point." The line went quiet for a long time. Then she said softly, "You were the only real thing I had, Terrence." "No," I said. "I was the only real thing you didn't know how to keep." The day before the wedding, Jennifer showed up at my apartment without calling. It was raining. She didn't have an umbrella. Her hair was soaked, and her mascara had smudged into the hollows beneath her eyes. She looked like someone who hadn't just been crying, but someone who hadn't stopped for days. I opened the door slowly. She didn't say a word. She just stared at me with a look I couldn't read, half regret, half desperation. I didn't invite her in. I didn't move. I just waited. "I need to talk to you," she said. "You always do," I replied quietly. She looked down at her hands, clenched into fists. "It's about Nancy." "It always is." She stepped forward. I didn't stop her, but I didn't step aside either. "I went to her dress rehearsal," she said. "I wasn't invited, I just showed up." I said nothing. She wore my dress. My chest tightened. She altered the sleeves, changed the neckline slightly. But it was mine, the one I tried on months ago. I never bought it. I just saved the photo in my phone. "You showed it to her?" She nodded. "Last year. I thought it was harmless. She asked what kind of wedding I'd have if I ever got married. I thought she was just curious." I exhaled slowly. "She's not curious, Jennifer. She's calculated." "I know that now," she said. "But that's not why I came." "Then why are you here?" She swallowed hard. "Because she's marrying Robert, and she doesn't love him." "I figured that much. She's still in love with you." That surprised me. "She's obsessed with you," she continued. "But not the way I was. I loved you because you made me feel like I was enough. She wants you because you never looked at her the way you looked at me." I never wanted to look at her that way. "I know," Jennifer whispered. "And that's why it's eating her alive." I turned and walked back inside, leaving the door open. She followed without waiting for an invitation like she'd always done. We sat down in silence. The apartment felt colder than usual. "She told me yesterday that if I came to the wedding, she'd have me escorted out," Jennifer said. "She looked me in the eye and said, 'You lost everything. Even the version of him that used to love you.'" "That version doesn't exist anymore." Jennifer flinched. "She's not wrong," I added. "You lost me the day you placed the ring on the table and told me you rushed it. Not because you were scared, but because you thought there was still something better waiting." "I know I don't deserve forgiveness," she said. "But I wanted you to know. She's not marrying Robert because she loves him. She's marrying him to bury me, to wear my life like skin." "And what are you doing here?" I asked. She looked up. Trying to let you go, she said, voice trembling. Really let you go. But I had to see you one last time to know if there was anything left. And? There is, she whispered. But it's not mine anymore. We sat, in silence, the storm outside smearing shadows across the windows. She stood after a while, walked to the door, stopped with her hand on the knob. She's going to fall apart, she said. It might take months, maybe a year, but it'll happen. I know. And when she does, she'll run to you. I didn't answer. Don't. Let her win, Terrence, even if it looks like she's breaking. She already won, I said. She made both of us forget what it felt like to be ourselves. Jennifer opened the door. For the first time in years, she didn't wait for me to stop her. She left quietly. The next day, I didn't plan on going to the wedding. I told myself it wasn't my business anymore, but I went. Not for her. Not for Jennifer. Not for revenge. I went because I wanted to know what kind of man I'd become after all this. Whether I could stand in the same room with two people who'd tried to shape me into a trophy and feel nothing. The venue was a glass cathedral on the edge of the city. Expensive, over-designed, hollow, the kind of place that looked breathtaking, in photos but felt empty in person. I sat in the back, alone. No one noticed me. Nancy walked down the aisle in a dress I recognized instantly. Her smile was wide, but her hands trembled. Robert stood at the altar, stiff and robotic. Everything about him screamed pretense. The vows were shallow, pre-written. There was no emotion, no history, just performance. And then it happened. Nancy turned her head during the final vow and looked directly at me, not at Robert, not at her family, not at her future, at me, like she needed my approval, like this moment wouldn't be complete without my attention. I didn't smile. I didn't blink. Just stood up and left. I heard gasps behind me, a small stir, but I didn't turn around. As I walked through the heavy glass doors and into the sunlight, I felt it, the weight finally leaving my chest. It wasn't love anymore, not grief, not revenge. It was release. I wasn't the version of myself they kept circling. I wasn't the dream they were trying to outshine. I was just Terrence, whole, still standing, still breathing, and finally, done being anyone's prize. 2 days after Nancy's wedding, the headlines started. They weren't on gossip sites or influencer pages. They appeared in finance blogs, business news alerts, anonymous Reddit threads, and slowly they spread. Tech firm Kensington Capital under fire after internal leak. Anonymous whistleblower exposes massive financial cover-up. Wedding week scandal, CEO Robert Kensington faces legal scrutiny. I didn't post anything. I didn't comment. I didn't leak the files. I just made sure they were forwarded anonymously to the right journalist from an untraceable source. The information had been sitting in my hands for months. I never used it because I didn't care about Robert. But now it wasn't about him. It was about what he represented. Nancy married into a lie, tailored it with ribbons and silk, and now she was waking up to a marriage that wouldn't make it through its own press cycle. A week later, she posted a photo of a cappuccino and nothing else. No ring, no husband, no mention of forever. Just a caption that said, "Some people are only committed when it's convenient." Jennifer, on the other hand, had gone quiet again. Then one morning, I walked into my office to find a small envelope on my desk. No name, no logo, just my name written in her handwriting, looped, careful, slightly tilted like always. Inside was a check, $8,700, exactly the amount I'd spent on her ring. Not a dollar more, not a cent less. No note, no apology. Just the number and the silence between us. I left the check in my drawer. Didn't cash it. Didn't tear it. It wasn't forgiveness. It was a receipt. A transaction. The final line in a story that didn't deserve another chapter. By the third week, I stopped thinking about them daily. I still got calls from Mutual, friends asking if I was okay. I still heard murmurs that Nancy and Robert were working through things privately, but I knew better. There was no foundation under their house, just borrowed dreams and stolen promises. Then one night, as I was leaving the office, a familiar voice called my name, Jennifer. She stood under the streetlight across from the building, hair tied back. Simple coat, no makeup, not the version that curated herself for the world, just her. "I'm not here to make a scene," she said. "Then don't," she nodded, stepped closer. "I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted to tell you something you deserve to know." I waited. When Nancy started dating Robert, it wasn't just to get to me. It was because she wanted to destroy something she couldn't copy. "I know," I said. "No, you don't," she replied. "Because I let her." I raised an eyebrow. She came to me before she posted the engagement, told me everything, that it wasn't real, that he was a name, a placeholder, a way to erase every trace of what you and I had. She asked me not to interfere, told me to disappear so she could rewrite the ending. "And you agreed?" "I was angry," she said. "Not at you, at myself, for not knowing what I had, for thinking I could do better than someone who only ever gave me peace." I said nothing. She took my ring, my dream, my venue. But she could never take the part of you I destroyed myself. "You didn't come here to say that." Jennifer looked down, then met my eyes again. "No, I came here to tell you I'm moving. Out of the country, new job, clean start. I won't reach out again." "Good." She nodded. "I just wanted you to know that the version of me you loved wasn't fake. She just wasn't finished growing." "She wasn't ready," I said. "And now?" "She's still not your responsibility," she replied. "She never was." I didn't stop her when she turned away, didn't ask her to stay. I just watched her walk down the street until she disappeared into the blur of the city. That was the last time I saw her. Nancy didn't reach out. Not when Robert's company collapsed. Not when she was forced to delete half her social media presence. Not when photos of her crying outside a courtroom started circulating. And I didn't expect her to, because someone like Nancy never apologizes. They wait. They circle. They try again. New name, new target, same game. But I was no longer in play. 2 months later, I met someone new. Her name was Elise. She didn't come from my past. She didn't wear ambition like armor. She didn't try to fix me or compete with ghosts. She asked questions. She listened. She didn't flinch when I told her I'd been engaged once. She didn't ask for details. She just smiled and said, "Well, I'm glad she returned the ring." I asked why. She said, "Because otherwise I'd have to wear someone else's mistake." It was the first time I laughed in weeks. There's no dramatic ending to this. No epic confrontation. No final scene where everyone stands in the rain shouting regrets. There's just peace, the kind that doesn't demand validation or applause. And if I ever cross paths with Jennifer or Nancy again, I won't look twice, not because I hate them, but because I finally don't owe them anything. Not a glance, not a word, not a single second more, and in the end, that's the real revenge, because while they both tried to rewrite my story, I'm the one who walked away with the pen.